Welcome back to Think Big Podcast. Today's episode is episode 5 and it's my 2020 review. I'm going to be talking to you about the things that have happened in the past year, about things that I kind of want to achieve, and kind of where I sort of plan to sort of take this podcast. I will start off by saying that I do feel like I've neglected this a little bit, but life just gets in the way sometimes. So I've taken a breather and I've sort of come back to it and I'm feeling sort of refreshed. I did find it sort of hard to sort of keep in the swing of things and, motivation, especially during lockdown. I think that's a really important topic which I'll come back to. It's really hard to maintain, especially when, like the world around you isn't progressing and then it's advancing and then regressing and, there's no sort of like certainty in anything. And I think that really got me sort of bogged down in like a little bit of a rut. But also like uni started back up again. I'm now second year at Leeds Arts. Life just kind of got, a little bit in the way. But no, I'm feeling a lot more refreshed, a lot more sort of like in a different headspace. I know it's really cringy, but 2021 is going to be my year, and I'm so sure of it. As cringy as that sounds, but it is. 2020 was just like the trial run, the 7-day free trial. And it was awful. It was so awful. Back in February I lost my grandma, which that's taken a lot of time to sort of wrap my head around, come to terms with it. And to be honest, I've still not come to terms with it. She died very suddenly in a car accident. And I think that's the other thing, my process of grief has been really sort of stunted, due to the pandemic. I haven't been able to sort of, build upon that. It just feels like I'm very stagnant. I just feel like sort of I'm in this stagnant energy that I can't move away from. But no, I definitely think a new year is definitely sort of, I don't know what the word is, sort of just refreshed everything. It's just like a big reset. For me, but that's how I'm sort of trying to look at it from that perspective, that it is just a big reset. But yeah, so that was in the January. March was my lockdown birthday. It was the 23rd of March. That's when Boris announced the UK national lockdown. So spent my 20th in lockdown. And no doubt I'm going to have to spend another birthday in lockdown, which will be my 21st. I'm absolutely gutted that my 21st is looking like it is going to be in a lockdown, but we've got to do what we've got to do, so that's the main thing. But yeah, that was March. April was when I was living with Ellie, and we did a podcast episode together, and that was great. We were going to do some more, but like I said, things just got sort of, and then sort of like from April it just kind of like flies by. Just sort of spent April, May, and I'd say June sort of processing a lot, realising things, doing a lot of sort of inner work, within myself, and just really sort of trying to better myself as a person and work on those areas that I wasn't, so happy with, or like I'm talking about confidence and things like that. And I'm still not very confident. I know doing a podcast is a very bold thing to do, and it is hard in times like there's times when I pause and you're trying to keep that train of thought. You're trying to find sort of the next thing to say. Like I don't have any of these podcasts planned. Like I pride myself on being authentic and raw and in the moment, and sort of like spontaneity. I just think planning it completely takes it away from the whole point of it. It's meant to be something that you can sit down, either listening to it whilst you're, on a walk, or whilst you're, I don't know, in the bath, or just chilling out. It's meant to be, really sort of like colloquial and friendly. It's not meant to be so like, prim and proper, and, that's not me. So I want this podcast to reflect me. And like I said, it might come across as confident, but I'm far from it. I just do very sort of bold things, and then hope that I gain confidence from it and learn and become more comfortable in myself. And it's a work in process. Like some days I'm more confident than others. But yeah, I feel a lot more confident, in that. I don't know. I felt like I couldn't use my voice, not in like I couldn't speak kind of way, but in a sort of, I didn't feel that strength. I just felt there was sort of like a blockage, like a lump at the back of my throat that was like stopping me from speaking and saying what I wanted to say. And the other thoughts that run through the back of your mind are, oh, what are people going to think about, this? Are they going to think it's cringy that you've got a podcast and, that type of thing. But what I realised was it doesn't matter how many people tune in and how many people listen, because at the end of the day, this is for me. It's not for anybody else. It's just a way of me like offloading everything, and getting things in the air really. Talking about things that I think are important, that I think need to be spoken about, and that I want to share with with people in the world, and that's all that matters really. But yeah, like I said, I felt like I couldn't do that, which is a real shame. Because I know a few people really were enjoying these podcasts, and I was really enjoying them at the time, but I didn't want to sort of create something for the sake of creating it. I just wanted to, I wanted to do it when I was in the right headspace, and I wanted it to be something that I was proud of. I didn't want to do it, for the sake of just ticking a box, going, oh, that needs to be done this week, and I must do it. But I have wanted to do it, and I've started doing some designing for like my Instagram for it. So it's really got me motivated again as sort of coming back with this idea. So yeah, so that was between sort of like April to June, and then in June I met my boyfriend, and I've never looked back since. So yeah, next week will be our 8 months, which is crazy. To say the majority of our like the foundations of our relationship have been sort of like blossomed in a pandemic. Who'd have thought it? I'd have met my partner in a pandemic. I think, when you imagine yourself growing up and being like 20, 21, because that used to seem so old. Did 20, like if you said, oh, you're 21, 22, you'd be like, God, that's like, that's a real adult. But I don't feel like an adult even now. But yeah, I would have never imagined, if you'd have told like 8-year-old me, you're going to meet, I think he's like the love of my life, and I really adore him, and he adores me, and it's beautiful, and it's great. And that's all I'll say on that without getting too cringy. But yeah, if you'd have said to me as an 8-year-old, oh yeah, you're going to meet the person that you're going to want to marry in a pandemic, I'd have been like, what? It's just something so... like, what are the odds? What are the odds of that happening? But yeah, I am so blessed to have him in my life. So that's another reason why I've not sort of done this podcast. We've been building our relationship. We've been getting to know each other. We've been experiencing things. When eat out to help out was a thing. Going out for lovely meals. Let us out, Boris, please. I just want to go for them again. I want to go for a meal so badly. Because yeah, we've been quite limited. Like, we were very fortunate that in sort of August time that we were able to sort of go away for a couple of nights. We went to this lovely like wood cabin in the Peak District. So that was really lovely. So we have had like moments of normality, but it's never been like, our relationship has never been normal from the start. But we're just kind of figuring it out. And if anything, I know this is going to sound really bizarre, but I am actually really glad that I met him in a pandemic, because it's taught me to sort of, I don't know, I think it's really slowed things down, because I'm a very sort of intense person. I like things to be 100 miles an hour. If it was up to me, I'd be moving in and having 3 kids with him next week, if I could, in the most loving way. But I think it's made me slow down a lot, which has been a real positive, because it's allowed our relationship to like grow and to blossom slowly, so that it's like longer lasting. And it's been great. I've loved getting to know him, and I still do love getting to know him, because each day I learn something new like about him. And yeah, he's brilliant. And I think people can see that as well, like my close friends around me can see the change in sort of like my happiness. And, you know, I think I was saying in sort of my previous episodes about me having sort of, you know, being single for a while and not dating, and it's done me the world of good. It felt like hell at the time, and I was like, you know, Mr. Right, please show yourself, you know, being being all impatient like I am, because I'm an Aries. That's what we are. Sorry. But yeah, sort of, I just wanted them to come sooner, and it was quite freaky. I actually said to someone that I am going to meet the love of my life in like the back end of first year, sort of beginning second year. So it's weird, spooky, spirituality sort of stuff. But yeah, it's been great. And then sort of things had happened, you know, like sort of family and, you know, people not being well and things like that. And I've come home, you know, for that reason, and for, you know, the sort of the way that uni students have been treated during this pandemic is absolutely awful. It's been dreadful. You know, my heart goes out to the people that, you know, like first year students that are still in their accommodation and things like that. You know, I couldn't bear it. I'm a very independent person, but I don't like feeling not in control, like if not being able to come home and not being able and being restricted, you know. So I've been home since the end of October. It's probably around like the 20th. It was probably like a week and a bit before Halloween that I came home. And then that's when the first national lockdown was announced for the month. You know, when that first happened. So yeah, I've just been home ever since then. I've not gone back. There's no point going back, you know. There's, you know, 1 minute you're allowed to do things and we're in tier systems, and then the next minute, you know, we're back into a lockdown. And yeah, I felt like my mental health wasn't at a point where it was sort of stable enough for me to be independent, especially after everything that I was sort of processing, like I said, from April to sort of June time, and then with my grandma and the grief and everything, just all, and throwing a pandemic in there, it just hasn't been great. So the best thing for me was to just come home and to just, like I said, reset, refresh, just get my head together, and then, you know, let's kick it in 2021. And that's where I'm at. So yeah, sort of, like I said, back end of October, November and December were quite, I'm not gonna lie, I did struggle in November and December. I think I've never ever felt, you know, not the way that I felt, but I was so unmotivated to do anything, and I absolutely love art. I love what I do. I love my you know, sort of like career path. I love making work, you know, I love painting. And I didn't want to do anything, and most times I didn't want to get out of bed, and I've never been that person. And I was saying to someone that, you know, like I've never been, I've always been quite high functioning with things that I've had. I've always got out of bed, I've always cleaned my teeth, I've always done everything. But some days it was so hard to just get up and have a shower. But I had to just force myself. I had to force myself to do it. But I'm so glad I did. But people, you need that downtime. You need that downtime to sort of just rest and relax and recharge, and, you know, to figure things out and to process and to heal. We need that downtime as like humans. Like, I just think I can do everything 110 miles an hour all the time, 365 days a year, you know, 24 hours in a day, and I can't. And I got massive burnout, which was ironic because I read a book on burnout in the you know, in like the summer holidays type of thing, and then I had an absolute, you know, massive burnout, you know, just before Christmas. But it was a space for me to grow. That's all I'm saying. And I'm definitely not the person that I was 6 months ago. I'm definitely not the person I was 2 months ago. Like I'm constantly changing, constantly evolving, and that is the one thing that I love about life, is that you are in charge of your own reality, and you can decide what you want to do and what you want to be and how you want to behave and how you want to act, and, you know, unpack that trauma and, you know, do shadow work and look inside yourself, Because at the end of the day, if you're not comfortable inside you, then you can't share that with anybody else. And I thought that, when I'm in a relationship, it's going to fix me and I'm going to be fixed and I'm going to be perfect. No, it's not. They're not going to fix you. You have to fix yourself. You have to get up in the morning. You have to get out of bed. You have to do it for you. You have to show up for yourself. And that's what I've learned recently. I'm constantly doing sort of like inner work, and I'm constantly trying to better myself, for my boyfriend, for my partner, because I just want to be at my best so I can give him my best. And he's the same. We both give each other 110% effort, and that's what I think makes our relationship so strong, is that we both want to better ourselves for each other. And, because people get comfortable and they get lazy and, start to let things slide. And I'm not talking about sort of like physical things, like I'm not talking about people letting themselves go, but you do become comfortable. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I just think, you shouldn't stop, trying to better yourself and to love that person, more and more. And that's the beautiful thing about it, really. But yeah, sort of going forward, in 2021, it even feels weird to say that. I've still not wrapped my head around that I know we're in a new year, but 21, I just can't, I don't think I want to be 21. I'm 21 in March, like I said, and yeah, that's like the last sort of like big birthday is, 16th, 18th, 21st, and it really shocked me because my boyfriend's a couple of years older, and I said, the next time that you're going to have a big birthday is 30. And that was really frightening, we're proper adults now, the jump between your 20s and your 30s is massive, some people have already had kids, some people are already living together, some people are already in the dream job, some people are doing all sorts, and I am so happy where I am now, I am so grateful for everything that I have in my life, for the people that I have in my life. I'm so grateful and I'm so happy where I am, but I haven't got a clue what I want to do. Everybody says that to you, what are you going to do after uni? And I've got no idea. I know it's in a creative sort of career path, but I've got no idea what I want to sort of specialise in. And I think it's okay to have not everything figured out. It kind of comes to you along the way that, it's like stepping stones, one thing will happen and lead to that, and then it'll lead to that. Just little chunks, just take each day as it comes, and that's honestly how I'm getting through lockdown and spending. I didn't realise that when I'm bored or stressed out or anxious, that's my new thing to go and spend, and it's so bad. I've been on a spending ban because my boyfriend started buying presents for my 21st, so I'm not allowed to buy anything in case we double up on presents. No, I'm only joking. I can still buy stuff. I bought a top today. Shh, don't tell him. No, he knows, I'm only kidding. But yeah, sort of spending, and I've got to stop myself. Depop is my absolute kryptonite. Honestly, I can't resist. There's so many. I love small independent businesses, and I believe that we should support small independent businesses as much as possible, especially through the pandemic, because it's been so rough for small businesses, things with people who are self-employed not being able to get the furlough scheme, etc, etc. It's just been so rough, and I love little small businesses because with big I still can't say it. With big businesses, there's not that love and that, affection that goes into making the products and packaging. And I love the cute little notes that people write saying thank you. And it makes me feel good supporting someone. And I think we should start shopping small. My 2021 resolutions are to be more sustainable, to lose a little bit of weight. It's not lockdown weight, I can tell you that now. I've always been sort of big. But yeah, to lose a bit more weight. Not from I want to be smaller, I want to be skinnier. I just want to be healthier, I want to feel lighter. I want to sort of, there is a part of me that does want to start wearing, sort of smaller size clothes. Because shopping for me is a nightmare. I am such an awkward size. I've got such little petite legs, I'm a 28 inch in my legs. And I've just got such little petite legs, but then I'm 5'7". Like, it doesn't add up, my sizing. But anyway, it's a nightmare buying clothes for me, and especially when they're in bigger sizes. The biggest that I've ever got was I was a size 18. And that's when my confidence was at its lowest. I've actually just weighed myself today. But yeah, I've been sort of, the sort of trigger warning about sort of calorie counting. I have been counting calories, not from I need to restrict myself, but it was more to sort of educate myself on the foods that I was eating, what I was putting into my body, being more mindful when I'm eating, going, oh, is this going to make me feel good or is this going to make me feel awful? And I bet I was eating about 2,500 calories, like a day without realising it. I was just having these really high calorie foods, and that's why I was putting on the weight. But genuinely for the past 2 weeks, I've been calorie counting, and I've been doing about 1,700 calories. And at the start of the year, I was 14 stone, and I'm now 13 stone 7. So I've lost, what's that in pounds? Yeah, 7 pounds. 7 pounds. And they said 10 pounds is a dress size, and it's really nice, and it's really positive, for people to sort of comment on my weight and say, oh, you've lost weight, and oh, you look really good, and that makes me feel good. And like, my clothes fit a lot better now. Like, there's tops that I bought that were a little bit tight when I bought them, but now they're like baggy on me, and it's great. And I really feel that success. Like, I'm doing it for me, and I feel a lot better mentally. These past 2 weeks I've eaten so well. It's been really hard to resist, like takeaway, especially during lockdown. You just think, oh, really fancy burger and chips. I really fancy some chocolate. And I think the hardest thing for me was sort of cutting out sweet stuff. Savoury stuff I can kind of, I miss that, but sweet stuff, I didn't realise. I think that's when, like I said, my biggest was 15 stone 6, and now I'm 13 stone 7. I didn't realise how much of my weight came from sort of like comfort eating. I think, I used to just sort of eat my feelings. If I was sad, chocolate bar. If I was, like anxious, oh, let's get them packet of crisps. And I just used to, pick on foods that would make me temporarily happy, and that would sort of give me that little bit of a, feel good factor for about 20 minutes. But then afterwards I'd just think, oh, I need more. But yeah, by calorie counting, it's really sort of highlighted that to me. And I would have never have recognised that in myself if I didn't have if I didn't have to keep a record of, what I'm eating, etc., etc. Obviously I'm not going to take it too far to the max. I'm not going to, go mental. I think I want to be a sort of dress size, sort of like UK size 12. Because I feel like that's a good size. It's not too sort of thin, it's not too sort of big, and I just want shopping to be a fun experience. Like, shopping for me when I was size 18, it was like trying to find something that was 18 but in like a petite size in like the leg, and I'd never be happy with how anything would fit. I'd always have like my little muffin top that would stick out. Like, it's still cute, I still love it, but I've done it for me to sort of better myself and lose the weight, because it would get me down. I would stare at my body and I'd think, oh, that's not very appealing. And I know that I do promote body confidence and things like that, but for me, I did want to lose a bit of weight, and that's just my personal sort of goal for this year. But yeah, my sort of goal is by my 21st, I want to be that UK size 12. I've set my, goal weight as 12.5 stone, which I think, I looked it up before for my BMI. I thought that would put me into the, sort of like, oh, you're right for your BMI, but BMI is just a lot of rubbish. Like, it said that I should be between 8.5 stone to 11, I think it's 11.5. I wouldn't look right if I was that, sort of like thin. I suit me. I suit being. I'm quite a bigger build. Like, I've got quite a big sort of like rib cage and big upper body. I wouldn't suit being sort of that. But I still want to have a bit of me. But I just want to sort of refine myself a little bit. But yeah. So, like I said, in the past sort of 2 weeks, I've lost £7. So I'm really, really happy with that. It's a win for me. Yay. And I've also learned to sort of cook a lot better. I've learned recipes that are low calorie. I've learned, it's not been me starving myself. Like, I don't want anybody to think that, I've been cutting out meals, skipping meals, anything like that. I've not. I've eaten the same. I've just been more mindful with how much. Like I used to have cheese and crackers and I didn't realise, how many calories were in cheese. But now I just kind of rein the cheese. I'm still having cheese, but I just rein it back a little bit. It's just making small adjustments, just small tweaks here and there. And that's all it is. I am very healthy, I'm very happy, everything's okay. If anything, this is the happiest I have ever been. I've finally found like my sense of self. I've got my independence, and I'm really happy with my relationship. Really happy with uni. I've gone back into painting. I worked sort of more digitally last year, and this year I've gone, a lot more sort of back to mark making and what does the mark mean and how does it feel, and really sort of, getting myself sort of absorbed in all that, and it's been really, really good. I have hit a little bit of a wall with my creative sort of streak, but I'll pick that up again. Motivation comes and goes. But yeah, I think it's just because uni's been online and it's starting up again, sort of this week, proper sort of tutorials and, sort of work, like online workshops and things like that. So it will come back to me. And it's a new unit, so yeah, I think I'm going to do sort of like thought forms and energy, and I've got some books that I'm going to read on it, and just sort of pour my everything into that. So yeah, that was like my 2020 review in a nutshell. I don't think you can put it in a nutshell, It was probably one of the worst years of my life in the respect of like losing my grandma and family stuff and things like that. Probably one of the worst, but it's been one of the best. Everything is about balance, Yeah, I've lost my grandma, but I've gained, he's an absolute gem. My boyfriend, I've gained him. Might not be living at uni, but I've gained my independence here back at home and things like that. So, life is all about balance, and I've managed to regain that. So, yeah. So anyway, if you want to comment on down below on anything that you'd like to hear me talk about in particular, I was going to do like a little bit of an agony aunt sort of series, but I only got one response. And I was going to read a few out, but I could do that. So if you want to send me agony aunts things anonymously, I'll link that. But yeah, if there's anything else you want to hear me talk about, if you want any more sort of like spiritual topics and what I think about sort of like reincarnation, life after death, something a bit more philosophical, then go for it. If you want to hear me talk about plants, I can do, because I absolutely adore plants. Or anything else, sort of like art wise, how did I know that I wanted to be, get into art and my sort of background in that, let me know what you want to see, and if you enjoyed it, yeah, give it a thumbs up, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Alright, see you later. Bye.